I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is another paid request, this time from Dan. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, whatever, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for a film called The Cincinnati Kid, which I did not know anything about. And it's a 1965 film starring Steve McQueen. You also have Carl Malden, you have Edward G. Robinson, Rip Torn, very nice big caliber actors of the time. And it seemed like there was trying to be a take on, the Paul Newman film about hustling with pool, and later on you had the original film of that, and you had The Color of Money in the 80s with Tom Cruise. And instead of being about pool, this is about playing cards. And it stars Steve McQueen as a guy, even though he looks fairly older, but they keep calling him Kid. I'm not sure if they really explain why he's called the Cincinnati Kid, because I don't think the town of Cincinnati is ever mentioned anywhere else. Anyway, you get the idea at the very beginning, and then some dialogue throughout the film that he's very good at playing cards, but the older master of the game, which they call the man, Edward G. Robinson, he's come into town, and it's sort of this build up to the finale card game, which is, other than some stops and starts, is probably the last 30-40 minutes of the movie. And this is one of those films that I would not call it a bad film. It's just one of those films that just isn't my cup of tea. What's the difference? If it was a bad film, I'd be ranting and calling it a piece of crap. I don't think it's a piece of crap. I don't even think it's a piece of shit. Not at all. It's well made. It's a movie of its time in the 60s. I do like the director, Norman Jewison, because he did the original Rollerball, which I highly enjoy. He did the film And Justice for All with Al Pacino. Great movie. That's the movie with Al Pacino. You're out of order. This whole system's out of order. He also did the original In the Heat of the Night. Very accomplished director. And when you get to the last 10 or so minutes of the card game, there is quite a bit of stylish shots. Whether it be people looking at the card game and the lights focus on their eyes and the rest are in shadow. Or it'll be fixated on one player than the other. It'll be like nice editing techniques, focusing on each of the person's eyes to try to ratchet up the tension of this card game. It's not just sticking the camera there and letting it play out. And the acting is, I have no problem. I did not grow up with Steve McQueen. It was before my time. Yes, I grew up more with Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. Again, that's more or even, Gene Hackman, James Woods, Al Pacino. Those are more the actors I grew up with. Yeah, Steve McQueen, not a bad actor at all. Movies about cards, card games, are not usually my thing. Maybe because I don't really find playing cards that interesting. I don't find the subject matter that interesting. Once in a while, there's a film like Rounders. I didn't mind that. Maverick worked because that's more of like a fun Richard Donner action adventure, but also with this card game, very comedic with Mel Gibson and James Garner and Jodie Foster, I believe, was in that. That's very fun, over the top comedy action. I think Richard Donner, who did Lethal Weapon, worked on that. I do highly enjoy that film. This is definitely a more serious movie. I did not mind this film that went straight to video named Shade, because it's Sylvester Stallone in it. Now, you know me, I'm a big Stallone fan, but compared to the past 10 years, just because Stallone's in the film does not mean I'll just praise it. But Shade I didn't mind. And Stallone, now I realize where a bit of inspiration for that film came from was from this movie. In fact, there's a line Stallone says at the end that is ripped from this movie, which I'll get to in a minute. And I'm like, oh, so that's where the line came from. Yes, I will admit I would rather watch Shade than this, but I like Stallone. I'm a big Stallone fan. It was cool to see him play that type of role. And the story, to just try to have a little bit of twists and turns with the story interested me more in Shade. It's a guy who feels he can beat the man, Edward G. Robinson. He's rather cocky. He has this love story with this girl. They hang out in the countryside. His buddy's played by Carl Malden. Rip Torn is a gambler who just called Malden and go, listen, I'm going to take your markers. We're all going to bet for the kid to beat Edward G. Robinson, and he better win. And in fact, you better make sure he wins. So Carl Malden's a bit nervous on all that, and it's like, oh. But Steve McQueen is like, no, fix. Okay, you deal it clean, or I'll blow it off. It's over. But at the same time, he's still rather cocky. Yeah. Like, I don't want any lesson shooter. I want everything he's got. And there's little stuff you see from time to time. Like, there's this little shoeshine boy that he'll keep playing pennies, where you throw a penny at the wall and he keeps winning against it. Hey, maybe one day you... What was the phrase he said? Oh, you're just not ready for me yet. Sorry, I had to think about that for a minute. This is not a film I've ever watched again. To do a drink. This is not a film that really pulled me in. Because the Steve McQueen character, I didn't really get to know much of. I know he's in love with this girl. I know he's really for playing this game. But it's not. It's more of a serious movie. It's not a comedy where you're getting and enjoying the lines of dialogue or quips. You don't really get to know much of his backstory too much. I didn't really find him an entirely interesting character. Same with Edward G. Robinson, other than he's the man, and I didn't grow with Edward G. Robinson, so I don't even have that superficial, hey, he's a good actor, but I grew up with the actor, like Stallone and Shade. So even that superficial angle I don't have with it. I did not like this bit in the film where they show an actual cockfight. No, it's not a cockfight like with your cock and you use with a sword. Because people today might not know what the fuck a cockfight is. Like, what? They fight each other with their cocks? They didn't know. No, it's not that. They don't use their cocks as a lightsaber. Zzz, zzz. No, it's a rooster or a chicken. They put a little blade or make sure it has sharp claws. They put them together in a fight. Whatever slashes the other. They do show that. I don't think that was needed. But I eat chickens. I love chicken. I love chicken sandwiches. I love Popeye's chicken. But at the same time, doesn't mean I need to see that in a movie that really at the end of the day did not, oh, the movie prospered because of that scene. Again, I love eating meat. Of course you do. Different kind of meat. Of course you do. Yeah, whatever. That doesn't mean I don't like seeing animal cruelty in movies. I know this hypocritical, but it's like, okay, if you don't do it quick, fast, eat it, okay. For sustenance, for food, I get it. For a movie, for the pleasures of making a movie, for entertainment, animal cruelty, it's not my bag. It's not for me. I dislike it. I don't think it's needed. I really don't. And then when you get to the spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1 spoilers, you get to the finale. Pretty much Steve McQueen's very cocky. He thinks he won, and Edward G. Robinson beats his ass. And part of me's like, good, because Edward G. Robinson was almost a more likable character than Steve McQueen, just because Edward G. Robinson was not as cocky. He was just, hey, this is me, and I'm playing this game, and he's not really being rude or mean to anybody, while Steve McQueen thinks he's top shit, and someone pissed in his Cheerios. A piece of fucking humble pie with humble cake and a dick on the side. As Steve McQueen's character, Cincinnati Kid, ate it, drank it, and sucked it all up. And then Edward G. Robinson says the line, "You're good, kid, but as long as I'm around, you're second best." I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard that line before. And many years later, in the 2003 direct-to-video film Shade, where Sylvester Stallone is kind of playing the same type of character, where he's the man, and he's always winning, he says the same line too. I'm like, oh, okay, it's from this movie, gotcha. But in that movie, spoilers for that movie, I liked that it was a bit more twists and turns, where it was him dealing with Gabriel Byrne's character and Tandy Newton, and there's backstabbing involved, and even at the end, it's not quite what you think is going. It's even more of a con game, which I found rather satisfying. I won't spoil it entirely. I mean, Shade I don't think it's that bad of a film. I mean, it's a card game movie, but it was fun to see Stallone as that type of character. Big fan of Stallone. Michelle Pfeiffer. No, not Pfeiffer. God, what's her name? Not Pfeiffer. What? Damn it. Melanie Griffith. I don't know why I thought Michelle Pfeiffer. Melanie Griffith's in the film. Nice to see her in there. This is a pretty decent cast. But, those are more the cast members I grew up with, so maybe I'm more drawn to that film. Along with some bits of the story. Is that okay at the end? Spoilers, he lost. He walks outside, he lost all his money, he lost his everything. And then even with the little kid, lost the game with pennies. So he's the ultimate loser. And then he walks to his girl hugs him, and then the movie ends. You're a fucking loser. You fucked up. You're too cocky, kid. It kind of made me wonder, what was the point of the film? Was that the point of the film? Don't be cocky? Maybe it's not meant to have a point. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it. It was an ending. It's definitely not the typical Hollywood ending, but what can I say? I like Hollywood endings. I'm a sucker for it. Sue me. It's just preference. Not saying every movie has to end that way, and there are many films I enjoy that don't have that type of ending. John Carpenter films, for example. But it's just like, eh. But again, I'm like, okay, fine. Edward G. Robinson, sure, it's not that Steve McQueen acted like a dick, but Edward G. Robinson just seemed more cool under pressure. I'm like, okay. And it didn't really showcase that Edward G. Robinson was that much of a villain to root against. So it wasn't really a hero versus villain thing. It was just two people. One guy who thought he was top shit, and that was false. One quick note early on, it was nice to see there's a guy who Steve McQueen meets early on, and I forget the actor's name, but oh, that's Sergeant Reed. Sergeant Warren Reed from RoboCop, from the RoboCop films. It was cool to see him in there. I guess if you like Steve McQueen films and you like card game movies and you like movies that don't have the typical Hollywood ending, this would be more your thing. It just really isn't much my thing. Like I said, it's hard to properly review a film when at the end of the day you just go, it just wasn't my cup of tea. It's just not the kind of movie I'm into. I did. Even the director, I liked Rollerball more, and Justice for All I liked more. This just, again, not for me. But it's not a bad film. It just, that's what it is. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.